I'm coming home, baby. I'm coming home, baby. I'm coming home, baby, now. I'm coming home now, right away. I'm coming home, baby, now. I'm sorry now I ever went away. Every night and day I go and say, I'm coming home.
Welcome to Piedmont Housing Alliance's series of discussions on building dreams and creating wealth. My name is Karen Reifenberger, and I'll be moderating the discussion today. Piedmont Housing Alliance produces this series of discussions on topics related to our mission. PHA's mission is to create housing and community development opportunities for very low to moderate income families and individuals, teach financial literacy and money management, home buying and home ownership skills, and advocate for affordable housing policies and programs. Today's discussion is about home ownership, making it happen. We're going to talk about why home ownership is a good option. What are the steps to get there? Why is housing counseling so important and effective? What local resources can help you? And what are the most frequently asked questions that people have about homeownership? Our guests today include Shelley Murphy, who is Director of Program Services with Piedmont Housing Alliance and directs the Regional Homeownership Center. She is a certified housing counselor and has worked with people in all aspects of money management, credit repair, rental counseling, preparing to buy a home, and avoiding foreclosure. Our second guest is Corbin Hargraves with Providence Group of Virginia. Corbin is experienced in financial consulting and mortgage lending. Thank you both for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So I wanted to start out and get a picture of what the homeownership landscape looks like right now. I recently read an article that said that it hasn't looked this good in 40 to 50 years. Corbin, can you comment on that?
The mortgage industry, real estate, home ownership, it has been up, down, and all over the place. But as you have heard, and so many others have heard, historic low interest rates. There are so many different factors that are constantly just changing not only the mortgage industry, but just the landscape of real estate. And what's happening is people are saying, you know what, if we're in a position now to buy, they're hearing it from every source. Now is the time to buy a home. But it's not for everybody, but it is a great time. It is a great time out here because of the interest rates and so many other factors that are involved.
So interest rates are low,
yes,
and home prices have come down
significantly
from high levels that they were in previous years.
You're talking foreclosures, short sales, people that had got overextended with their finances when the market had taken a turn for the worst, and they were stuck holding the ball and they couldn't afford it, so they walked away from their homes. So now someone else's situation has turned into a very great situation for another family or an incoming individual that wants to take advantage of stepping into home ownership right now. So some opportunities out there.
Can he tell us if the interest rate, you know, what it is right now, but what would that look like as far as a monthly payment for someone, you know, thinking about buying? Can you give us an example?
Well, yeah, there's so many different variables that play into what interest rate.
Okay.
And as we've talked before on different series that we've had, one of the biggest things, how good is your credit score?
Right.
It is very important to have a good credit score when you come in. Typical mortgage lenders work off of what's known as the middle score. So of the three scores that you have, we would be working off your middle score. How do you have a good credit score? Paying your bills on time. We talk about the basic fundamentals all the time. Making sure that all your debts are paid, balances are down when you get to pull the credit report. Having a low debt to income ratio. What that means, the amount of money that you actually bring in versus your debts, that they are low in comparison to the amount of income that you have. So as far as rates right now, it also varies by product. You're talking about on the government side for FHA, for example, yesterday's rates were closing somewhere around on a 30-year fixed for FHA in the low threes. That was for a good quality, high potential candidate who was trying to apply for a 30-year fixed FHA.
3%.
It was close to
That's
3.
awesome.
It was close to 3%, and that's a range. So because we're not allowed to be able to just quote
Sure,
direct rates,
sure.
we're just giving you a range. And even conventional rates, if you are qualified on a 30-year fixed, we were talking, somewhere in the range of the upper threes. So 3.75, 3.875 was kind of where the rates had closed out yesterday.
Have they ever been this low in your experience?
Historic low? No, not in my lifetime anyway. So
Way back in a little bit of my lifetime, it was about that some time ago.
absolutely, and
Yeah,
also
back in the 50s and
it
stuff
gets
like
even better if you are willing to take a shorter term for a mortgage. So if you start coming down to a 20-year term or a 15-year term, you could get into even the twos in some particular cases. That's for conventional, FHA, as well as USDA and other types of loan products that you have.
And that means your monthly payment's going to be a little higher because you have a shorter period of time to pay it off, but it means that you pay less interest over the life
Absolutely.
of that loan, right?
But also, if you're looking at doing a 15-year versus a 30, a lot of times, if the rate would have been back up at the 6 or 7%, which you probably qualified for, it's probably might be close to the same payment at the 3% for a 15-year versus a 30-year. So it's still in your affordable household budget that, again, if you go the 15 years, you might still be looking at the same that you would have done a year and a half ago or 2 years ago if it was up at 5 or 6%.
Absolutely.
So people should not discount the opportunity to look at the 20-year or the 15-year if that lender that you're working with offers that, that product for you, because they could save a lot of money,
And I would just like to paint a picture for people right now, because there might be people watching who think, I'm not sure this is for me, maybe I don't make enough, or maybe I make too much. And before I came, I looked at some of the information on the clients that Piedmont Housing Alliance has provided down payment assistance to. And we'll talk a little bit more about that, about PHA's services, the counseling and education, and the financing. But in terms of down payment assistance loans, there have been people who've been assisted to purchase homes at a purchase price of $110,000 up to $200 and some thousand. These individuals had anywhere from 1 to 3 down payment assistance loans to make their mortgage affordable. And their income ranged anywhere from about $23,000 to about $53,000, and household sizes from 1 to 6 people. Their occupations included teachers, electricians, construction workers, bakers,
Working people.
administrators, lab technicians, vet techs. There's a very broad range of income, household size, jobs, as well as within the whole Region 10, Thomas Jefferson Planning District.
I want to interject real quick.
Yeah.
There is a tool that if a lender is doing their due diligence with their clients that we can use, which is a rent versus buy comparison scenario.
Great.
That should be start point number 1. Because as you already just addressed, a lot of people don't think that they can realize what is known as this dream of home ownership in the first place. But saying, I have so many clients that come to me now, especially in this particular market where the interest rates are low, and they say, well, I don't believe I can afford a home. They're paying $1,000 a month in rent. I said, well, let me show you something. You just spoke about a $100,000 mortgage. It's potential now. Some of the deals that are going on, you could be paying less than $700 a month. Just giving you an estimate. Obviously, it would vary depending on taxes, insurance, homeowners association fees and dues, and anything else that's incorporated. But to be able to have a mortgage payment of $700, and then you have tax benefits that also play a major part as well too. So it is realistic for a lot of people, but they just don't necessarily take the due diligence to find out whether or not, let's compare this. Because with rent, you can't do anything as far as taxes in regards to writing off what you're paying in rent. And then when you say, I have clients that are older, well, I've been renting because I was scared to buy a home because I didn't want to lose my house. We heard about the horror stories of people getting put out of their homes. I didn't want that to be me. You have to have a place to live. And I always tell people, just make it within your means. What is your means? Is saying that just because you can afford $200,000, You don't have to get that large of a mortgage payment or that large of a mortgage. How about you scale it back, take it down to less than what your rent payment is right now? If you've been paying on time for all these years, why not? Because you have the tax benefits, it's an investment for you, and at some point in time, you could possibly pay it off so you don't have a payment anymore to where you live at.
And lifestyle plays a role in there.
Absolutely.
If you have the type of job that you have to relocate every couple of years, it might not be for you
Absolutely.
to purchase a home. But if you're pretty stable in your community and like where you're at, you know, that's the time to start talking, asking questions, and getting information. And I think that's the beauty of housing counseling, because people that you can refer to PHA and they can come and ask those questions.
Absolutely.
They can give them a picture and help them look at, okay, your credit is good, your budgeting is good, you know, what are your goals? Are you looking to stay here? Are you looking to, you know, change jobs or something like that? And they can walk through the scenario of the rent versus buying, not just looking at the money and the numbers, but look at the lifestyle and how they're spending their money and what else is going on. So I think there's advantages to sitting down and having that chit chat talk with the housing counselor or with the lenders that provide that service, that people will get an awareness. Yes, I would love to see, you know, if I'm renting $1,000 and it's not going anywhere, but I can pay $700 and have a comparable living place.
Absolutely.
And it's mine. And I can paint my walls purple if I want.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? That was one of our clients, that was a comment that her and her family, and she had some children, and one of the happiest things was that the girls wanted to paint their walls purple. And they were never able to do that because they lived in a rental situation. So that was one of the first things that they did, and a set of twins, was paint the walls purple. You have that luxury when it's yours. Yeah. You don't always have that luxury if you're a tenant, you know. Right. And we're not saying that everyone should be a homeowner. We're not saying that, because some people, based on their lifestyle and their finances, might be a renter, and it's okay. You know, but we can also help in those counseling efforts on how to get there. Maybe you need new skills so you can change jobs or advance in your jobs, you know, so you can make more money. You know, because typically around here, we're in a high cost area. Yes, even though the interest rates are affordable, it's still a higher cost area than some things. So, and it might be that you move out a little bit to get a little cheaper price to gain that home ownership benefit too. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah.
And I think there's also the added benefit of a level of stability that
yes.
comes with home ownership.
Yes.
You know, if you lock into a monthly payment, it may change a little bit, but you're not at the whim of the landlord.
Correct.
Who can raise your rent.
The principal, the principal
or decide that they don't want to rent to you anymore.
Taxes and insurance will change.
Yeah. So there's some level of stability that helps to provide.
And another factor, as I will also piggyback off what Shelley had stated, it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
So even though historic low rates, mm-hmm. and it is just great opportunities out here because you can buy a house for unbelievable prices right now. Mm-hmm. What happened during the mortgage industry that caused it to tank was that people were being approved for mortgages that they could not necessarily afford.
Correct.
And a lot of families got in trouble because they didn't do their due diligence. They didn't do the research just because they felt like they wanted that dream so bad of home ownership. But you have to have your own discipline to be able to say, what can we truly afford here? Just because the lender is telling you that it's okay doesn't necessarily mean this is what the family is going to be able to take. It has to be a solid budget that is put in place before you step into the lender's office. Because yes, we're in the profession where we make loans for people, but that doesn't mean that that particular loan is the best product for you and your family.
Exactly.
That's going to put you in the best position over the course of how many ever years you plan on staying there. And you also talked about the volatility of your profession. If you are in a stable profession where you've been working there for years, you should take all of these factors in consideration when going to buy a home as well too, because all of that matters. One of the other factors that caused a tank in the market, people got caught up with saying, you know what, the market is going up, 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 up.
Yeah.
And we're going to get this adjustable rate mortgage. We're going to pay it for a couple of years, have this extremely low payment for 5, 7 years, whatever the ARM does. And then all of a sudden they got stuck because home prices started to decline very quickly. And it dropped off. And then now their house is underwater. They could not sell the property because they were in debt, reverse, behind. Everything was happening in a negative standpoint, and they couldn't take control of this. So people need to realize that even though things look like they're starting to stabilize, per se, in the market, we still could be at a turn. We already know it's election year.
Well,
It's so
they're
many other
not
factors going
planning
on.
for the unexpected.
Absolutely.
No one plans
Absolutely.
to lose their job. No one plans to get sick or a family member getting sick. No one planned for this economy to make a change or the things that happen. But one of the things people can do, and we advocate a lot at Piedmont Housing Alliance, is having your house in order.
Yes.
It doesn't matter if you're a renter or if you're a homeowner. You need to know what's coming in and what has to go out.
Absolutely.
And when it has to go out. And so the basics of the budgeting, what you talked about earlier about obtaining a mortgage, I think that's more critical. No matter what your house is or living style is or whatever, understand what bills you have, who gets paid when, make sure that you can pay them on time because that links right to the credit score. You know, because if people are late, if they're not paying their rent right now, and they can hear us speaking, if you're paying your rent late or if you're paying that bill late, credit, car note, whatever late, if you're not paying on or before the due date, then you need to come and seek some assistance on some budgeting help or financial planning, because when you do become a homeowner, you don't want to get caught in that trap, because that's the biggest monthly expense that people usually have, and second would be a car note. But number one, you want that shelter. Absolutely. Because it's a lot harder to provide services when you don't have a roof over your head.
Absolutely.
And there's a lot of programs in the community that help people, you know, and we provide the housing counseling. The loan officers will help people set up budgets and determine what you're looking at. But you also want to plan ahead. Where am I looking to go in 5 years? Am I looking to be a homeowner in 3 years or 5 years? You know, I just graduated from college, or I'm going to school, and try to plan out and say, this is what I need to do. I've got these goals. These are the actions I need to do, but I also need to have savings on the side, because there are things that happen within our lives that are unexpected and not planned. And number one, the credit report's gonna tell you what you think about paying your bills and keeping your house in order. It's gonna tell you if you're paying late. It's gonna show how much you're late. It's gonna show how many you didn't pay, period. You know, and any other type thing that you have not done. So the building of the credit report, I think, is critical, which directly links to having a solid budget and following it every month. You know, so the advocating of saving, checking the budget once a month, this, that, and other, I think is really critical.
And another piece also beyond just the budget, the credit aspect is, and I know that Piedmont Housing Alliance is a big advocate of this, is making sure that you have some type of contingency fund, which also goes in line with the emergency.
Yes.
We, so many times as lenders, allow for people to come in with these no money down loans.
Yeah.
But we don't stress the fact that if you buy this home and something happens, where is the money going to come from then? You just bought a home, which is a 6-figure mortgage. And now that you've extended yourself with this mortgage, and if something does happen that's not covered in warranty, where will you get the funds there if you know that the potential borrower was in a situation where they were just barely making it to get by with this loan? So stressing that part and having that contingency fund is really key, and that down payment there too. For example, you all could elaborate on some of the programs that you all have as far as with the down payment assistance and making sure that they have some money on top of that, even though that you are assisting them to get into the home.
It's required now to have money in savings, X amount for certain loan products. I'd like to share an example of where a counselor was working with a client, single mother, who had a great job, great income coming in, and she was qualified to purchase a home, credit was good, and she was buying a house at the max of her budget.
Right.
And one of the things that we pointed out to her in that counseling session is, your child is in the 10th grade, and in 2 years you're going to lose that additional income. Let's rethink this again. Maybe going at the top of your budget, you know, because you qualify for $200,000, getting a $200,000 loan is not the idea to go. Let's back that up, because you're getting ready to lose in 2 years $400 a month income that was coming in. How are you going to be able to manage that? And so we walk through that process, and I can tell you honestly that she went ahead and pursued and obtained her loan, and we just got an intake packet on her, and she's in trouble, and it's exactly 2 years later. Not realizing or understanding the impact of the loss of projected income. She had it, but it was only good for 2 more years because the child would turn 18. So that meant that additional income was going to go away. So what are her options now? Second job, you know, possibly a tenant, or working with the mortgage company to see if there's a loan modification type option. But the importance of the counseling was to help her see, you know, and she thought she could make it. I'm not penalizing her or saying anything like that, but we could see that and note that. And so one of the things is to walk through that scenario with our clients. Another thing that we do is if people are first-time home buyers and they're thinking about buying a home is, okay, right now you're only paying $700 a month, but the property that you qualify for is probably going to make your mortgage payment $900 a month. So that's $200 more in your budget that you're going to have to spend. You're not in a hurry right now, and I'll say, Corbin, what you can do is let's bank $200 a month for the next 3 months or the next 6 months and see how that feels and how you're still managing month to month.
Yeah,
and see if you like it, because it's going to change your lifestyle, because when you become a homeowner, you're also going to become your own landlord. Mm-hmm. So you want that contingency fund or savings or planning, because things are going to break down and you don't have anyone to call except for homeowner yourself and say, okay, I'm going to have to hire somebody unless I'm the handyman person or the handy woman person and I can fix these minor repairs and things like that. So the planning is so critical.
Very critical.
And it doesn't matter if you're thinking in 5 years I want to buy a house, you know, or if it's in the next year. Plan it out.
Now.
Yeah, start now. Even if it's not on the radar, look at your finances. Make sure your house is in order. Are you building the contingency fund? I have a client, my own personal client, that is saving $5 a week.
Still $5.
It's about the behavior.
Yes.
They don't even care about how much is in that account. And they were impulse shoppers like myself. I'm an impulse shopper. And the thing of it is, there's a lot of us that like to put money in our savings account
and pull it right back
and then pull it right back out. So it's not a savings account. It's a holding place.
That's all it is.
You know, so a lot of times we might recommend to people that have challenges on their spending habits to say, open your savings account at somewhere else, not at the same place that you have your checking account with. So then you don't have access to it. You know, it might be that it's the Virginia Community Capital type bank that just has savings and they don't have any other consuming product, and they're located in Richmond.
Absolutely.
So if I want to go pull that $25 out, I got to go drive to Richmond because I didn't get an ATM card.
No
so
access.
You're less likely to do whatever it is that your behaviors are doing. I'm the impulse shopper. When I get stressed out, I stay away from Barracks Road. I don't need to find Barnes & Noble because I spend things that I don't need. You know, and I'd rather be able to slide that $25 into savings for something unexpected, you know.
And it's about the habits.
It's the habit and our behavior.
You can get comfortable with saving $5.
Yeah.
Can you get comfortable with 10? And then can you think about what kind of goal that will help you achieve?
It's a line item on your budget.
Getting into the routine.
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah.
So I'd like for each of you, Shelley with Piedmont Housing Alliance and Corbin with your firm, if you could describe the services that you provide to clients, and then maybe take a typical client, and I know no client is typical, so take one client and sort of walk us through what you would do with that individual in terms of home ownership.
Well, I can start first if you want.
Ladies first.
Okay, Lisa, thank you. Well, one of the things that we do, some of the services we provide is the home ownership piece. So it's an opportunity for people that are thinking about becoming a first-time home buyer, walking through the process, getting educated on what happens, what do they have to look for. So the first thing they're going to do is complete an intake packet. And then they're going to schedule an appointment with a housing counselor, and the housing counselor will review their information, ask questions. They're going to pull their credit report, which is a tri-merge credit report, which has the credit scores with it. And what they're going to do is assess the house, what's in order, how their spending habits, and it might be that they get sent for 30 days to track their spending habits. But one of the things they do that I just love is being able to set goals and find, you know, what are your goals? What are you looking for? What can we do for you? So on the home ownership piece, we're getting them mortgage ready. We're helping them go through. It could be that they're going to be a client for only 6 months, or it could be that they're going to be a client for 3 years. It's whatever they need. If their credit scores are running in the 500s, we're going to have them for a year and a half, maybe 2 years, because it's going to take them some of that time, depending on balances and things they need to clear up on their credit report, to change to get them up to the golden 620 or above. So we strive to help them get to at least 620 or higher. And so building on that, how do you do that? It could be one-on-one counseling, could be monitoring. We provide education classes and things like that to help and encourage new behaviors and also give them information and things like that.
What kind of information is on the intake packet, and why is it important for people to fill this out before they meet with a counselor?
The information has the basic demographic information, but it also says, what bills do you have? What income do you earn? How many people are in the household? So it's already preliminary determining eligibility for what you might be eligible for. And you talked about down payment assistance earlier or things like that. But it's us looking at your perception and your knowledge of your financial picture. Then we bring in the credit report, and it might have different things on that you didn't list. Because it also says, what are your bills? How much are they? Are you behind? You know, and things like that. Your job income, what's your gross income, which I call that fake money, and what's net income, which is what you bring home. And then they have to do a draft budget. A lot of times people have never sat down and did a budget.
Some
so
people
it's
don't want to
difficult.
look.
They don't want to look
at it,
or
right?
they feel they don't understand it, don't know how to do it, or again, could be an impulse shopper like that and saying, wait a minute, I work hard. I need to be able to buy that book or buy that dress or whatever it is when I want to. Well, it's okay to think like that, but all you want to do is plan it out. It might be that you're not going to get the dress this weekend. It might be 3 weeks from now, because now you set money aside to build, to say, okay, I'm going to have 50 to 100 bucks so I can go out there and get me a new dress. So it's just a matter that we're never going to tell people not to do something. We're going to assess the financial situation as far as what are you paying out. So if you got a cell phone, you got cable, and you got entertainment expenses, movies and this, that, and other, I'm going to ask you, have you checked out alternate packets? Instead of paying $100 a month, is there a packet that's acceptable for you for the cable or the phone based on your usage that's cheaper, that would bring some more money in the house that you can set aside? So a lot of times they're going to get tips from us and say, okay, call the cable company, call the telephone company. You're averaging only 800 minutes a month on an average. So look at the $1,000 packet instead of you having the 2,000-minute packet. There could be significant savings there that could come in, help pay off a bill, or set up that contingency fund or the emergency fund or something like that.
And I think this is really, I've seen it be very empowering for people, and I think for all of us to think about what we really want and what we're willing to sacrifice for, and to say, how much would I save if I cut cable for 6 months?
Yeah. Or just
say
a
it's
different
summertime,
packet.
it's nice out, maybe I'm not spending as much time at home. How much could I save, and what could that, how much closer to my goal of the new dress, of the new home, how much closer to my goal would things like that get me, and how many of those things could I find?
Well,
so for you shoppers, it may be like a bargain hunt.
Yeah. I saved on my telephone, and one of the counselors actually told me to talk about my cell phone package, but my house phone was the big kicker. A lot of people, because they have cell phones, they're cutting loose of the landlines. Well, I would advocate to think about that and just do the plain landline just to be able to call out and receive calls. You don't have to have all the long distance and things, and it's typically around $30 to $35 a month. because you've got a cell phone that's got everything on it, long distance, this, that, and other, and that landline, $35 a month, you know, you have, and if the power happened to go out because of storm or this, that, and other, you still have communication aspects. So we're thinking also of planning for emergencies and things like that. And you can get a plain landline without all the thrills and, you know, flowers flying and everything, you know, call away and all that for $30 to $35 a month. Some people are only paying $25 a month. So they have a stable line. So if they ever lose services, electricity or something like that, and they still, it's safe, and because the cell towers are going to go out quicker than that landline's going to go out, and we know that. You know, if we got storms and things, and I have family right now going through Florida flooding right now, and they don't have power and things like that, but their landline is working. So we still have communication. So we can look at the Comcast, not Comcast, but any of the cable packages and things like that. And I actually did one with Comcast. And I looked at the same services, and I thought, I'm gone all day. There's, you know, why am I paying for the premium package and I only get to see a couple hours every night and I'm watching the same shows? So then I went from $120 down to $75 and I have the same stuff. It's just a different package. I don't watch the premium channels. I'm not home or, you know, enough times devoted to that. So I just saved from 75 from 120. So that difference is going in that does go in that contingency fund. You know, and so I plan that, and I share those experiences with clients as well and say, look at the different package you have. Is there something that gets you the same thing that you want, and we're not telling you to get rid of it, we're just saying change it and pull that money aside, and what can you do with the extra $50 a month? You know, for savings that could be a lot, or for emergency, or maybe it can go to a bill and start paying off a bill, or even split it. You know, and say $25 in savings and $25 I'm paying on one bill to start getting rid of it. And you want to look at what interest rates you're paying on your bills. And a lot of times when we go through the financial thing, we have them fill out a form saying, who do you owe? And it's looking at the balance, the interest rate, and what the monthly payment is. And then we look back and have a plan of action on getting rid of those bills. A lot of times we start with the highest interest rate bill first that we work at. Right. Or some clients want to go, no, I'd rather pay off those little ones and I'm gaining money. So we put them through this power pay type plan where they're paying bills and using the money once they pay it off, and then they go put it on another bill. And so they attack them one at a time, because just with an extra $25 a month, you could do wonders with it and work. So the planning aspects of homeownership we provide. Default foreclosure prevention is another service. If people are behind on their mortgage payment or expect to be behind, you know they're getting laid off, they can contact complete an intake packet and start the counseling routine. What options are available to me? What do I need to do? Is there other places I can obtain services? And then we have different programs like the VITA program, which is a 2-year savings program, since we highlighted the savings, a contingency plan. And that's for people that that want to buy a house, probably within 2 years, or start their own business, or go to school. And so this program, it's income eligible criteria. So you have to have earned wages, and at 2 years you're going to attend classes, work towards your goal, whatever it is, homeownership or whatever, and you save $2,000, okay, within the 2 years. And the state program called VITA, Virginia Individual Development Account, will match and give you $4,000. That gives you $6,000 towards one of those, we call them an asset. Starting a business that could help buy equipment, inventory, startup costs, or if it's education, it could pay for tuition and books. And down payment, it can go for, down payment and closing costs, or the other would be education, which would be tuition and books. So you've got that aspect, and that's a 2-year savings program, and it's all about saving and putting money away. The max you can do to get the max program is $2,000. You can save more. And we've had great successes with that. Homeowners and people starting their business. And we have one person that just completed her business plan to enhance a business that she already has, been working in the last couple of years. But her goal was to be able to work towards buying a tool she needed, which is an iPad, so she can meet with her clients in her business one-on-one, and she's more mobile. So she was able to save up enough money to get a match and be able to get an iPad. So that's a success story. And she wrote a beautiful business plan. Took a while, and she had to go to courses, and so we help them get through that, and we work with CIC program.
Links them with the resources.
The resources that are available in the community, the SCORE program, CIC agency, and just whatever resources are
And
there.
that's a wonderful program. I mean, I know we've had successful businesses launched with that.
Yeah.
We've had people who've advanced their education to get higher paying jobs. Yes. There's one woman I'm thinking of in particular who set a goal for herself, a single mom with 3 kids, and she said, by the time I'm 30, yes, I want to own a home. And she worked with a housing counselor. Yes. She worked with the VITA program, saved, and ended up reaching her goal. And she says that she has said, if I can do it, anyone can do it. Yeah. And I know she got a lot of help and encouragement from the housing counselors.
She had a good support system, and I would say that the loan officer was critical just as part of that piece of getting her towards her goal, because they were able to work with her and give her the vision of this is what you can afford based on this income right now. And then you're doing all this other stuff with PHA, so here's your savings path, here's what you're doing, this is the goal, this is the payment that the payment range you're looking at, and how does that feel, how does that look? And so as she was working towards that, she had the goal. I'm gonna just throw out an example of a $130,000 townhouse or something like that, and my payment was gonna be $700 a month. So she started operating within the range of $700 a month, and part of that comes from the counseling of being able to watch your money and still put money aside for savings or contingency fund and still operate. So as she was in the program, she was also living what she would have once she obtained home ownership. So she was comfortable in that range, and she's still doing great.
Excellent.
So that's a great
I've got
story.
3 quick questions for you before we get back to Corbin.
Yeah.
What is the training, what type of training do PHA's housing counselors have? Can you just give people a flavor of that so people would know who would I be meeting with?
Okay, the counselors obtain a certification, which means they are trained by an organization called NeighborWorks. It could be the Virginia Association of Housing Counseling. It could be training from other folks, but the requirements of becoming certified is a rigorous process. It takes about a year. And it's the financial aspects of mortgages, budgeting, financial planning, and things like that, also down to how to do one-on-one counseling with clients. And so they have to recertify every 2 years, and they have continuing education credits that they have to complete, and it's typically classroom setting, and they bring in experts and things like that to come in, and then they take a test. And then every 2 years they have to be recertified. And all of our counselors at Piedmont Housing Alliance are certified housing counselors. 3 of us are comprehensive, which means we provide a couple other services or have knowledge of a couple other things. And the 4th one is set to do that in August. So in August, all 4 of us will be comprehensive certified housing counselors.
Right.
So the training is ongoing.
Okay.
Ongoing.
And PHA is a HUD certified housing counseling agency.
We're a HUD approved housing counseling agency, means that we're meeting the housing counseling standards on a national level as well as the federal level as far as HUD being an approved agency, which means the standards and the services we provide match what industry standards are expecting across the nation. Okay. So if people come in for home ownership, you're pretty much going to get a list that this is going to be covered if it's default foreclosure or if it's rental counseling, because we also provide rental counseling for people to understand the whole rental market or about their lease. We're not advising them any legal aspects. We would refer them to legal aid. But as far as, yes, you're going to have to fill out an application. Yes, you might have your credit report pulled to be able to live at this place. So let's go ahead and assess what's going on, because just as we look at being a homeowner, you're looking at paying rent, which is not any different than a mortgage, because it's still money that's going out. So let's assess the same financial situation and see if you're prepared and able to handle the $700 versus $1,000 a month rental payment.
So we want people to be successful in their housing, whether it's rental or
it doesn't
homeownership.
matter. Yes.
And PHA offers classes.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that? And then also for people who may be fearful of, you know, they might want to get some counseling, but they may not want to commit to something that's too frequent.
Yes. Okay. There's no committing, no matter what. You come in, it's up to you. We're there to guide, to coach, and help you get where you're trying to go. We offer education classes. There's typically a class every month, and then there's a lunch and learn. So there's a class in the evening, and then there's one in the afternoon, and we hold it over at the community center over at Friendship Court Apartments. Well, you know, parking is easy to get in, get out, and we got it for 1 hour. So we cover financial literacy classes, and we use the Money Smart modules for that. Could be a class on credit, how to understand your credit report, how to clean it up, basics on loans, what does it mean, what kind of loans are they? It could be about predatory lending, how to avoid it, you know, and things like that. So consumer information, sometimes we have guests come in, we could have Corbin come in and talk about getting prepared to apply for a mortgage. What's the process, what's needed? So it's open right now.
And then the monthly homebuyer education classes.
Yes, those are offered on the second and third Tuesday of every month, and the classes are held at CAR, Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors. And the purpose of those is the VHDA approved curriculum. And what that is saying is you attend this, it's required, you attend these 2 classes, which is part 1 and part 2, and you'll get a certificate at the end. And if you are eligible for down payment assistance, you have to provide that certificate. So they come through, get the education, how to select a realtor, how to work with a mortgage company, and this, that, and other, and assessing their financial situation.
Great.
Yep.
How to work with a mortgage company.
Yes.
Corbin, tell us how you work with people in terms of their finances, getting their houses in order, and what sort of recommendations you have, what you can offer people about working with a lender.
First of all, the Providence Group of Virginia's motto is to educate, simplify, and enhance. What do we mean by that? It means that we want you to be educated about what you're doing. Too many times clients sit down and sign documents. We all know how thick these mortgage packages are. You've got disclosures out of the yin-yang. You have all of these different foreign documents that you are signing. A 30-year note, a 20-year note, it doesn't matter the term, but educate yourself to really understand, what are you signing here? What do these documents really represent? And what do they mean?
Isn't it the lender's job to look out for me?
You know, it's so funny that you say that, because now we have to be licensed.
Yes.
We have to take a national, and the state in which you operate from, you have to have, for example, in Virginia, I have to have my Virginia mortgage license. And a part of the ethical and morale section of the actual test states that, yes, it is our duty to inform the borrowers about their rights as clients and understanding exactly what these documents represent. Now, you know as well as I know, anytime that you have business where money is involved, greed becomes a major factor. Lenders don't necessarily do what's always in the best interest of these clients. And I want to challenge everyone that is listening to this program or looking at us right now. Know your rights. Yes. Challenge it.
Absolutely.
Learn the art of negotiation. There is no dumb question when you sit down with me or any other lender out there. If a lender is giving you any kind of flack or any type of resistance for you asking too many questions, you can go find another lender. Right. You can go find another mortgage loan officer.
And I love that point, because I think a lot of times people think, well, I'm not sure if I'm ready, I'm not sure if I've got the income, I'm not sure if I got the credit, and then the first person that tells them, you're qualified,
You can do
they say,
this.
wow, I'm qualified,
Or
I'll
let's
take
work
it.
this deal.
Yeah, and then they don't,
Yeah.
they're so happy that they can work with someone that they don't look elsewhere.
Well, they get caught up in the moment, that
Yes.
feel-good moment.
Yes.
Remember, this is a business decision that is going to impact you for years and your family.
Yes.
You have to make sure that you are prepared. We've talked about financial readiness and being prepared to make this commitment on this mortgage. So here's the kicker. There is a document now that is in every single package known as the anti-steering document. We as lenders are supposed to show you what the high rate is for the day and the lowest rate, the lowest cost, the lowest interest rate without risky features. We have to show you this document. We didn't have to show you this document some years back before it became mandated to put this in the package. Make sure you're seeing this, because they may say you're approved. Then all of a sudden, I just told you where rates were. Somebody could come back and say, but you're approved based on your credit for a 5% interest rate. That lender may have some kind of ulterior motive, because they know maybe in a year, 6 months down the line, they can turn around and churn you, which is a bad practice in lending, and then make money off of you twice, when in actuality, if you were really qualified for the lowest interest rate, then they should have given it to you in the first place.
So they might call you up a year later and say, hey, I've got this great deal, it's 4% now.
Yeah.
When the
And
rates were
even though
already
it
sitting
is
there.
better
When you
for
already
you,
could've got it.
they're getting money from that
Yes.
transaction, that
got
second
it.
transaction, and you could have qualified for the 4%
In the first
beginning.
place.
Okay.
It's churning.
Well, but and also do you, as far as lenders, and I think of the fair housing aspect, because that comes in, and you say churning, but there's steering, there's all kind of
Blockbuster.
other things that happen, and again, it comes back to knowing your rights. So if you're being told one thing and it doesn't sound right, you need to seek some information.
Absolutely.
Legal aid is free. PHA is free. Ask those questions, and get that information.
Work with
and
a
things like
trusted
that.
advisor.
Work with a trusted. We have great stories, and you do too, of clients that can talk about the services that they received. I'm okay coming in. They told me no, but I know why it's no. So I'm educated to that
Absolutely.
component on there, and I think that's valuable.
And the other part right now, there needs to be an understanding. We try to set the expectation up front of exactly what the client is going to have to endure when it comes through going through the mortgage process. Right now,
that's
lenders
wonderful.
are asking for documentation after documentation after documentation when it comes to you going through the process. Why? Because lenders know they don't want to get caught if there's an audit that comes down and saying, oh, guess what, y'all are responsible for this loan when it goes into foreclosure because you did not make sure that they had the appropriate documentation to document their income. You didn't make sure that the homeowner's insurance was in place. So the lender is left on the hook for that. So they're being more tedious, more stringent about their guidelines and saying, hey, we may ask your borrower 3 times for paychecks in a 60-day period because we want to make sure they still have their job all the way up to the last moment. They have that income coming in. Their financial situation has not changed. So knowing that up front and letting the borrower know is a part of our process, not only our group, but just from the mortgage aspect, because people think, oh, it's just going to be a cinch. No, it's not like that. Even the best of the best borrowers right now are being asked for documentation like never before. Back then, you could do what's called Alt-A or stated income loans, where you could walk in with a good credit score and guess what? You could just fly right out with a loan and nobody would ask any questions. It's not working like that anymore.
It's different.
Has the changes made it longer to get a loan? Because typically you could always get a loan within 30 to 45 days. Has the new laws that have been put in place, which is really for the protection of the consumer and the lender, is it taking any longer, or does it fall back more on the clients or potential clients to make sure they've got their stuff and ready when they come, or is it more on the lender?
I'm glad you asked that. I'm going to tell you why. Some of the big banks, because we've had an influx of refinances because rates are extremely low right now, they are backed up. It's taking them 18, 21, 30 days in underwriting
It could be changes that happen then.
before you even get your file looked at when you apply for a mortgage loan or have this mortgage loan application go into their system. So Some of the lenders, yes, they are backed up because there's not only home purchases, but there's refinances that you have to take into consideration that are also taking up space with these underwriters. And they're not necessarily hiring additional personnel. They're just increasing their workload to take a look at these files. The other part becomes this. If you want the process to go smoother, yes, have your documentation in place. That's the key thing. But that goes back to the education piece. Let your borrowers know up front what is going to be required of you. 2 years tax returns, your W-2s, your pay stubs, 30 days worth, your assets, your bank statements, savings accounts, checking accounts, your IRAs, your 401ks, letting them know that you need to document all of this stuff and be prepared to give it, because it's a lot easier to tell a client up front, hey, we're going to need this stuff from you, than try to piecemeal it together and make the process more tedious and more cumbersome than it already is right now. Because as you will see in this particular climate right now, it is difficult. But I think that you can simplify, which becomes our second part of our mantra with our company, which is make the process as simple as possible for the borrower. There's a lot of emotions, especially for those that are first-time home buyers, because they get caught up in the frills of, oh, I'm about to own my own home. But it's a headache. It's a big
watching
burden.
HGTV.
Yes, exactly. All these reality TV shows.
It's all the thrills and frills of buying a
work involved.
And there's a little work, and it's simplified, but I will give them credit because they do point out certain things for certain situations.
Absolutely.
But there could be more. It's kind of not realistic to a certain point.
Of course.
Because, and we know that from seeing with clients, all of us work with clients. So again, it's about being able to give that information, but people also have to be in the position to receive it. In other words, to understand it and then make a better qualified decision based on the information that they got. And that's goals, I think, for all of us and all of our programs.
And I think other thing too is you see the end result. Not getting from point A to point B, you don't see a lot of the legwork that is put in there as far as everybody's a unique case situation. Self-employed borrowers go through different things than wage workers do. Commission scheduled employees have different documentation that they have to provide versus someone that is on a set salary. So there's going to be different obstacles for each individual borrower that is going there. Then if you have a couple that is buying a home together, there's so many different variables and factors that go into the part of actually obtaining a mortgage loan out there. But one of the parts that I love about the fact that we run mortgages through the company that we're participating with right now is the fact that we are a broker. So we have the ability to be able to shop your deal out. So everybody doesn't fit into that one particular top tier lender. They may need to go to a smaller or not one necessarily the bigger institutions in order to obtain a home loan, because maybe their credit score isn't as flawless as our top tier borrowers are. But we have lending options for those people as well too. You mentioned some of the guidelines are hitting that magic 620 and 640, which FHA requirements and conventional loans, that's a part of our process as well too. We will work with you to help you get to those middle scores, because we want to make sure not only are you achieving the minimums, but you need to get in the habit. We talked about practice, paying your bills on time. And I always love bringing this back up with you, because you always tell me, make sure you got your house payment paid, because you can always, go find something else to eat, but you can't necessarily make sure that you have
somebody else's house to eat,
but have in your house. And I love that Shelley says that, because of the fact that it is important, because you can sacrifice another bill, but you want to make sure that you keep a roof over your head.
That's right.
Because it can be very, very difficult once you have a foreclosure on your credit. As far as the impact.
Same for rental too, getting an eviction. Same thing.
Yeah.
You've got to know about that money coming in. Your house has got to be in order.
And and I want to say we at PHA we've worked with a lot of wonderful lenders in the community who do have the best interest of the
SunTrust, Catherine Potter, that she sends clients. She comes in and she says, "This is where you need to go," and you come back and see me in 6 months.
And that's what I wanted to offer also to the community, to both the real estate professional community as well as the lender community. If you have clients that you see who aren't quite ready, that's really where PHA services can bridge that gap with the education and counseling, and then
help build the scores.
Depending on eligibility, the financial assistance that may make home ownership affordable, that can bridge that gap to affordability. And, you know, over time, PHA has helped 750 families purchase a home.
Close on their house.
With over $6 million of down payment assistance.
Yes.
So, you know, PHA is a community asset. We hope that both the lender and real estate community as well as the clients will make use of the human resources, the financial
resources. The doors are open.
That
Just
PHA
make the
has
call.
to offer.
And another thing too, I definitely want to say this. There are some incredible real estate agents here
Absolutely.
in the Charlottesville, Albemarle County area, which is another vital piece to home ownership.
Yes.
Make sure that you are dealing with a real estate agent that has a good working relationship with your lender as well as PHA and understands, listen, when we set...
It's a team working with you.
Exactly. This is a team effort. This is a mutual effort because it is very important. What I see a lot of times happens is a real estate agent will try to push the bar a little bit higher than whatever the amount that we say, guess what? This is your budget, stick within this number because 150 turns to 200, 200 turns to 225, and then your payment's out of the way. And even though you still may be eligible to get that loan, the problem is we set the budget. It was a reason why we set that budget for your housing payment in the first place. So it's critical.
Yeah.
It's very critical.
Yeah.
One-liner advice for people who are thinking about home ownership.
Know your rights. Know your rights. Challenge your lenders.
Get your house in order. Come see PHA.
Beautiful. This concludes our session on home ownership, making it happen. We hope you've learned a lot from our discussion. Thank you so much to our guests for being here and sharing your expertise. As part of PHA's community education, we look forward to continuing this series of discussions on topics related to home ownership, avoiding foreclosure, affordable housing, fair housing. All of our sessions are aired on Charlottesville Public Access TV, Comcast Channel 13, Tuesdays at 3 p.m., Thursdays at 9 p.m., also live streaming at cpatv.org. And if you have any questions or comments or suggestions for shows, please share them with us. Call 434-817-2436 or email info@piedmonthousing.org. Please also follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, and visit our website, piedmonthousingalliance.org. Thank you for joining us.
I'm coming home now. I'm sorry I went away. Every night and day I miss you. I'm coming home, baby, now. Can't hold me back now. Pressing on, baby, now. I wanna feel you hold me tight. When I'm in your arms, I'll be high. I'm coming home. I'm coming home now, yeah, yeah, yeah. The road is long, baby, now. Let me hear you say, and I never will go to stay. I'm coming home, baby, now. Can't hold me back now. Alright. I'm pressing on, baby, now. I wanna feel you hold me tight. When I'm in your arms, I'll be high. I'm coming home. I'm coming home now, yeah, yeah, yeah. The road is long, baby, now. Let me hear you say, and I never will go away. I'm coming home now. I'm sorry I went away. Every night and day I miss you. I'm coming home, baby, now. Can't hold me back now. Alright. I'm pressing on, baby, now.